Congressman Devin Nunes. Great to have you tonight, sir.
Great to be with you, Shannon. Thanks.
Okay, I want to read something, a tweet from House Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries saying this tonight. So-called Attorney General is presiding over a dog and pony show. Here's the thought. Release the Mueller report tomorrow morning and keep your mouth shut. You have zero credibility. And there's a huge list tonight of Democrats who have come forward to say, Barr needs to cancel this thing tomorrow at 9:30. Just give us the report and let the American people decide. Your response?
Well, two thoughts on that. The first is that the last time I checked, the Constitution has 3 branches of government: an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. And the executive branch and the Attorney General can do whatever he wants to do. It's not for the legislative branch to tell them what to do or how to conduct themselves. He can have 1 press conferences or 10 press conferences. The second thing I would say is that the irony and the hypocrisy of these people to talk about dog and pony shows. They put us through a dog and pony show for 2.5 years. They said they had evidence of Russians colluding with Trump, and the reality is the only thing we found were Russians colluding with the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. So I don't need to hear about dog and pony shows. I've seen their dog and pony show for 2.5 long years.
Well, you know that they're also going to focus on this obstruction question, which the special counsel, Robert Mueller, left open. It was ultimately decided by the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and others within the DOJ. So tomorrow, everybody is going to be looking for whatever they can find on both sides. I want to play a little bit of those who say it's not going to be a good day for the president by their prediction. Here's what they say.
Even if there are embarrassing details in the report, the president should be for getting it all out there.
One Republican source tells CNN the president is, quote, going to go bonkers, end quote, when he sees the testimony of current and former White House officials.
There will be things in this report that are embarrassing that all of us sitting around this table would say, I would never have done that if I had worked on a presidential campaign.
And we know, Congressman, this is going to be fodder for those who are investigating the president, considering impeaching him. There are going to be things that aren't flattering, probably to the president or members of his campaign tomorrow.
Right. So what is most unflattering about this? It's the one thing that the media will not talk about. And the irony of these guys running a phony collusion investigation for 2.5 years. Remember, Mueller walks in the door of the special counsel's office and says, okay, where's all the Russians at? Show me the Russians. Well, there were no Russians. The file cabinet was empty the entire time. The only Russians they had were the Russians that Steele, who was working with the Democrats, those were the Russians, you know, the Fusion GPS Russians. Fusion GPS is the firm that the Clinton campaign hired to dirty up the Trump campaign. That's all this is about here. But in addition to that, how about Mueller's five dirty cops on the Mueller team that we know of? 2 were in possession of the Steele dossier, the Clinton paid-for dossier, in the summer of 2016. These people need to be investigated. This is why what I've said numerous times, and you put it right at the beginning of your show, I don't really care what's in the Mueller report. I care what built and went into the Mueller report. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is nothing but a Mueller dossier that should have never been taken up.
Okay, so we know much of what people are going to be looking for tomorrow as well is to see if there is information about the origins of the report. You have talked about criminal referrals to the Justice Department. One Democratic aide to the House Intel Committee who talked to Politico said this about you preparing this information and wanting to talk to the Attorney General about it. It's clear they believe they now have an ally in the Attorney General to perpetuate their conspiracy theories of, quote, spying, and their determination to investigate the investigators, no matter how misguided and damaging their efforts are to our national institutions. Can you tell us anything more about the criminal referrals? Will they involve names like Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, members of the media? Can you tell us anything more?
Well, look, what I don't want to do is do like they would do, which is to leak all the names out. I think we have an adult who's the Attorney General. I'll take you back to how I originally answered your first question, which is the Attorney General can do whatever he wants, hold as many press conferences as he wants, and meet with whoever he wants to. We think it is appropriate to send him these 8 criminal referrals. What is still outstanding out there, if you want to talk about the things that need to be answered in this Mueller report that you were alluding to. One, we don't know if, there were accusations that General Flynn, the head of the DIA, was a Russian agent. There were accusations that this guy who supposedly kicked off this investigation, a guy named Mifsud, if you remember, George Papadopoulos was prosecuted on this because of this guy. This individual, he was training intelligence professionals from the United States. He was training intelligence people from the Brits and from the Italians. Mueller made him out to be some type of Russian asset. If he indeed is a Russian asset, we really need to know about this, because we're going to have dozens and dozens of our agents who have been compromised by this individual. So, and then we can also talk about the Trump Tower meeting, where you had the Fusion GPS Russians, the Democrat paid for Russians, involved in that. So there's the only conspiracy here was the tinfoil hat people that were talking about Trump colluding with Russians, when the entire time it was actually the Democrats who were colluding with the Russians.
Well, I happened to see Rudy Giuliani this weekend, and he was working on this rebuttal, and he was very focused on that Trump Tower meeting and feeling like the government or the Trump administration is going to talk about what they believe is potentially a setup there. I know that that's a question that you have as well. So, ranking member of the House Intel.
It's without question, Shannon. It's without question, I think, that was a setup.
Well,
and this should be in the Mueller report. And if it's not, it's totally unacceptable that we spend $30 million and we don't know the Russians that Fusion GPS was working with.
I think we all have questions, and tomorrow morning we'll all get more answers. Congressman, thank you for being with us. Great to have
Thank you.